Welcome to Frances Reads Her Bible. Today I'll be reading Genesis chapter 12. Genesis chapter 12 is very interesting to me because Abram is not a Christian. He was not a Christian, he was not a Jew, he was not any of the religions we have in the world currently. He was not a Christian at all. Christians have argued, I have people that have argued it to me. He was not a Christian. He was not a Jew. This man was from the Ur of the Chaldeans. And the Ur of the Chaldeans, people there were astrologers, magicians. They worshipped other gods and not God. These people were open spiritually. They were scientists, men of knowledge, men who understood the spiritual realm. If you ask me, they knew there were other realms. They were open to spirits and whatnot. This was who Abram was. He was a man of knowledge, a man from the era of the Chaldeans. They were people who were open spiritually today. And he understood there were forces in this world, you know. And I believe that's how Abram met God. God, a spirit, he recognized that this spirit, oh, is different from the other spirits. And as these are my thoughts. This spirit is different from other spirits I've encountered. This person is great. This spirit is great. This must be the God, the creator, the Lord. So we don't have Abram's first encounter with God, but this is God's call to Abram. Let's imagine a spirit appearing, encountering spirits, and now a particular spirit appears to you and you recognize that, man, this being is not like the other beings I've encountered. This is like the Alpha, the Omega. This is, and then God now told him to leave his country, his relatives. I love this. Then God, Lord, makes him a promise. He has, I believe Abraham or Abraham has encountered him before. And he now tells him, leave your relatives and your father's home and go to a land that I am going to show you. I will give you many descendants and they will become a great nation. I will bless you and make your name famous so that you'll be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, but I will curse those who curse you, and through you I will bless all the nations. Imagine if you're encountering all spirits and now you encounter a greater being, and then he makes this promise to you. And like I said, Abraham was from the Ur of the Chaldeans or Ur of Babylon. They understood, as in these people were astrologers, magicians. They have encounters with spirits. They are open, as in they are open spiritually. You can't be a magician, a sorcerer, and all these things and not be. They were magicians, sorcerers, astrologers. So imagine that upbringing. You're open to different spirits, and he's encountered a greater spirit, a greater being. So when Abraham was 25 years old, he started out from Haran. Remember, he went with his father to Haran, and as the Lord had told him to do, and his nephew Lot went with him. So Abraham took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all the wealth and slaves that they had acquired in Haran, and they left for Canaan. Remember, is Canaan is located in today's Israel, West Bank, Gaza, Jordan, portions of Syria, and Lebanon. Canaan was really close to Africa, you know, like there was a boundary, like you could easily cross from land of Canaan into Egypt and parts of Africa to Cush and the rest of them. So remember, Canaan was the descendant of Ham, who was one of the sons of Noah. So very interesting, very, very interesting. So, and it's interesting that, like I said in previous episodes, that Canaan was cursed by Noah, and there's so much strife and war in those regions. So it feels like the curse from Noah is still affecting Canaan and the countries that encompass Canaan today. He cursed Ham and his descendants, and Africa is also part. Well, I did that in a different chapter. Anyway, so Abraham took everything that belonged to him and they moved to the land of Canaan. Abram was not a perfect man. Okay, I'll get into that later. So when Abram got to the land where he was told to go to by God, he came to the secretary of Moreh, the holy place at Shechem. So, and God now appeared to him again. Imagine God appearing to you physically, as in spiritually. Maybe your spiritual eyes are open and you recognize, oh, this being is the Lord, the creator, the Alpha and the Omega. This is the being that created the whole world. As in, like I said, people from Abram's tribe or place, they were spiritually minded people because they were astrologers, magicians, sorcerers, and the likes. And we're going to see more of the Chaldeans in some other parts of the Bible, so you understand what I'm talking about. So everywhere God appeared to Abram, this is the country that I'm going to give your descendants. He showed him the land of Canaan. This is the country I'm going to give your descendants. He didn't say you, he said your descendants. And Abraham believed, yes, this I believe this being. Yes, I believe. Then he built an altar there where God had appeared to him in verse 7 and said, yes, in agreement, I believe. Then after that, he moved on south to the hill country. In verse 8, he moved on to a different path to the hill country east of the city of Bethel. There he also built an altar and worshiped God. Like that altar was like an agreement to the covenant or to the words that God has spoken to him. He built an altar in acceptance and in worship of the promises, the covenant that God had made and shown him, like, yes, I'm in agreement. I worship you. Thank you. Then he moved on from place to place, going toward the southern part of Canaan. Remember where I said Canaan was and is today? And then this is what I mean by Abram was not a perfect man. He was human just like the rest of us. And I'm always baffled, even as a child, when I read this part of the Bible, I was baffled by what Abram did. There was a famine in Canaan in verse 10, and it was so bad that Abram went farther south to Egypt. Like, remember what I said? That Canaan was so close to Africa. So he went south to Egypt to live there for a while. When he was about to cross the border into Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, "You are a beautiful woman. When the Egyptians see you, they will assume that you are my wife so that they will kill me. Tell them that you are my sister. Then because of you, so because they think you're my sister, they will let me live and treat me well, give me things." Imagine your husband or you as a husband telling your wife or your husband telling you that because you're beautiful and he knows politicians in government and men of power, billionaires and whatnot will want you, that let's pretend and tell them we are siblings, so they can do whatever they want with you and they won't kill me to collect you from me. And then, they'll treat me and they'll give me good things. Just imagine that. Like, as a child, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, ugh. And I'm still baffled by it. But God had already made a covenant. God is a covenant keeping God. So God had made a covenant with Abraham. God knew this dude was not perfect. And God still kept his covenant with Abraham, even though he had done this thing. Letting his lying, one, he lied and he was being manipulative. And then he was open to adultery. Yeah, let other people have my wife as long as they don't kill me and they give me good gifts. Can you imagine that? Well, as Abraham said, when he crossed the border into Egypt, the Egyptians saw that his wife was beautiful. And like I said, some of the court officials, the men of power, saw her and like, oh, this man is so beautiful. And they took her to the king. And because of Sarai, the king treated Abraham well and gave him flocks of sheep, goats, cattle, money, everything. The king didn't just take this woman. Oh. The king married Sarai as his wife. The king was sleeping, having sex, intercourse with Sarai, who he believed was a single woman and he has married as his wife. She was now the king's wife. And the king was sleeping with her over and over. If Sarai was fertile, she would have had children for the king. Oh, God, I'm still baffled by it. Abraham, who everybody portrays to be a father of faith, didn't go to God and say, God, please, oh, I'm going to this land. Don't let them kill me. Don't let them kill my wife because of my wife. Let them, even knowing that my wife is my wife, not kill me and bless me. No. He decided to lie, manipulate, and let another man marry his wife, sleep with his wife, and everything. Sarah would have had kids with this king. She was fertile until God, and Abraham was okay with it because he was getting things. He was getting sheep, goats, cattle. And Abraham didn't say anything until God had to intervene. Because God needed Sarai, because the lineage, the descendants that God was speaking about was going to come from Sarai. And God had to do something about it. And because the king had taken Sarai, not just taking, no, he was sleeping with her, he had married her. God sent terrible diseases on him and the people of his palace. Then the king sent, because I'm sure the king had consulted his sorcerers and magicians and wizards and witches. What's going on? What's happening to us? And they found out that, oh, the Lord is sending this to us because you took another man's wife. See what happened. Then in 18, the king now sent for Abram and asked him, what have you done to me? Why didn't you tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say she was your as in, I'm sure the king was like, seriously? Why would you do something like that? And you were letting me sleep with your sister? Because in all moral codes and whatnot, this was wrong. Sleeping with another man's wife. So the king said, here is your wife in 19. Here is your wife, take her and get out. Then the king gave orders to his men. They took Abram and put him out of the country together with his wife and everything he owned. Just imagine. I'm wondering why God didn't punish Abram. Well, he'd made a covenant with Abram already. But he had to punish the king so the king would find out what was going on and so he could release Sarai back to Abram. Just imagine a man lying, manipulating things so he would not be killed and so he could get material things from people and let other men, they were busy sleeping with the king was busy sleeping with his wife. If Sarai was fertile, should have maybe given birth because this was a long period. My God, I'm still, or maybe be pregnant as she was living with her husband. God is a faithful and merciful God. He didn't break his covenants. Like, he keeps his covenants no matter what. He didn't break it because of what Abraham did. God still had this plan and he gave in his word and he kept to it despite what Abraham did. Imagine. Well, so Abraham wasn't perfect. He didn't go to God for help before going to that land. He lied, he manipulated, he was human. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay blessed and goodbye.